Welcome, welcome. I'm looking a little bit out of it because my hair is like not fully dry yet. Like so weird. But I don't know. Showering just took so much longer today. Okay, to be fair, I fell into like a research rabbit hole. So that's probably why. So this is how I always dry my hair. Like I always sort of like curl it like this and then just don't touch it and let it dry. And then I have curls. Like this is literally like just how it works for me. It's yeah. It's low-key easy. But it needs some time. So that's the annoying part. All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the stream, and how are you doing? I had to like quickly check something because I'm like trying some new meds right now for my chronic headache. And I low-key messed up to pick the like up following package, like the dosage. Because it just like at the moment I take like 3 a day. So I feel like, oh, I have like so many left. And then they like instantly ran out. Uh, so I was just like organizing a little bit. If Zach can go to the pharmacy later and yeah, pick those up. And we'll see how that goes. I feel you would really rock a curly hair. Like honestly, like my hair actually can be curly up till here. But it just takes so much longer to dry and everything and to get ready that I just don't do it. It's not worth the effort for me. Hi Asta and hi Safer Runner, welcome, welcome. So yeah. Pop them like candy. No, they're not expensive. Thankfully they're like paid by the insurance, so everything is fine. It's better this way. I mean, it's I do like my curly hair. I really do like it. I think it looks really great. But yeah, it just takes such time. Feel like you were hit by a semi truck. Oh. So is it not getting better with the healing? Like I thought it would be like so much better now because you can eat like soft foods, Asta. So how are you doing? Your hair's naturally curly. I see, I see. Even when it's short, it's curly too. I really like it. For me as well. But it's like, yeah, like from I don't know, with my hair, it's like it's always like if I wear like I can like blow dry it straight. Um but even if it's straight, it's gonna be like a little bit like some hairs are gonna like do what they want, you know what I mean? Um so that's sort of like the curse because like if you style it straight, it's not actually straight. Like there's like the tiny hairs just do whatever, you know? And that's like a little bit annoying because then your hair looks like it's like breaking, but it's not breaking, it's just, you know, like not really meant to be like entirely straight. Um but if you like style it like as curls, you need to put like super much effort in because they're not like it's not that curly. You know what I mean? Like you need to put like gel in and stuff like this. Like it's not curly no matter what. It's only curly if you style it curly. Because otherwise, like in the natural state of like I just let it air dry and don't do anything with it and like don't care about it, it's gonna be like really weird. Like it's gonna be like straight like halfway and then curly. So yeah, I don't know. It's really it's like it can do a lot, but it also needs to do a lot, you know what I mean. Yeah, yeah, send me a picture. You worked hard to get your hair straight? Oh my god, did you do like one of these like chemical treatments where they like straighten your hair? And then it's gonna be straight for like several months, but like actually straight, and you have to leave it in for like 24 hours or something, and it stinks. Because a friend of mine is doing that. It seems like crazy effort. Like she has like short hair even. She doesn't even have long hair. She has short hair. And she's at the hair salon for like 3 hours or something. And then she has to leave it in for like 24 hours or even more. And it's like smelling horrible the entire time. But afterwards, she actually has like really like completely straight hair. That's getting better, but my body is just protesting and hurts like it's it, and I don't know why. Oh, annoying. Sorry for you, Asta. Oh, thank you for the 20 stream streak, Asta. I'm glad. Ooh, I like the curls. It's really nice. But yeah, you definitely you have curls which are probably curly if you don't do too much to them, right? So it's the only thing that worked. It took a few hours. I expected it to last 6 to 12 months, but it's been straight for almost 2 years and going. Didn't smell that bad. Damn. So it just like stayed? Wild. So how curly was your hair beforehand? And like why did you like make it straight? Like do you just like how straight hair looks? My hair looks so bad right now. Just because like the entirety of my hair like here. That's actually getting to a point where it's like presentable. Yeah, this better. This is so much better. See this curl here? This is so odd. I don't know. I like it straight. My hair's super curly from my father. Now it's twice as long as it would be otherwise. Ooh, true. True. I didn't think about that part. I'm glad you like it. But it also goes to show like it's not sort of like a thing you just like where you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna like do this treatment to like see if I like it. Because like if you now have it for like 2 years, even though it should only stay like half a year to a year, then it's like, damn. Mm. Very good. Okay. So, do you have any special topics you want to talk about, or should we start? I too. Took a while until it actually worked. Or should we start with the general sort of mental health check-in? What do you guys prefer? And welcome, welcome, Mr. Yuslin. How are you doing? Don't mind me eating. I didn't have the time to finish my breakfast. Um, I mean, it would be balding. I was for a second I thought we were going to like bouldering actually. Um, but I feel like actually it's really interesting. Like even though like you just made this as a joke, I think it's really interesting how our hair actually like reflects on how good we feel in our body. Like our hair is a big part of our sort of like self-image and like if we think we're pretty, if we like ourselves, if we think we're sexy and stuff like that. And I think it's actually like really interesting how much it impacts us. And also how sort of like sometimes little we understand about it. Because for example, like my family, like my mom and my two sisters, last year I think, they literally like for the first half year, they just lost most of their hair. And like the middle sister specifically, she had like really pretty hair beforehand, like Barbie type hair, like super long and so full and like it looked perfect. And then they were going through we still don't really understand what. Um and they nearly like so much of their hair just fell out. And she had like a serious struggle to actually like just be fine with it and to yeah to sort of like like still think she's pretty and everything like that because even though like then she cut her hair short so it's not as visible, it was like so much of her volume was gone that she always looked like half bald. And it like yeah like it no it didn't happen before. So that's the thing, like this happened for like the first time. And it was, yeah, I don't know. It was definitely like a really odd situation, right? Because it's like it's impacting us personally so much. But because it's like, I don't know, like there was nothing really like the doctors could do. They were just like, probably like hormones changed or whatever. So it was like a weird situation of like you being impacted personally, like so much, but the doctors just being like, it's just hair, like it's not really. Like we're not gonna like invest many resources to like find out why this is happening. Like it's probably gonna be fine again soon or something. Like let's talk in a year again. I don't know. um, and I think that's actually quite interesting. If it's not too heavy, I'm working on with my therapist. But how do I know what gender I am? I'm not entirely sure what it is. I think there's like a really interesting question, but it's a really big topic as well. It also, I guess, sort of depends on who you ask. Um, hmm. I feel like I personally like I'm not an expert in this topic, right? Like there's like therapists which are sort of like like I'm not a therapist either, but there are also for therapists. It's not like everybody like every therapist like an expert on this because this is usually a topic where you get like extra like schooling and stuff like this. Um, but I would personally approach it from the way how I in therapy approached my like autism diagnosis. Um, because I think a very important question, and they also ask you this for like the autism diagnosis, and it's one of the main questions. It's like, what do you hope? Like, what is the expectation around the diagnosis? So for you, I think it would be interesting, like how, like, what is the expectation around like finding out what gender you are? Like, what is the expectation as to like how you would feel if you pick the right one, sort of? And so like what do you hope is coming out of that question and like specifying one and sort of like making sure you pick the right one? recently started on antidepressants. I'm really unsure what I feel about it. I still hasn't kicked in yet, but I'm low-key scared of medications because I like to do it myself. But I'm also open-minded towards it. Yeah. I mean, you can always stop, right? Like, it takes a bit with like stopping antidepressants because like you usually like you stop very slowly to make sure there's no like the side effects are sort of minimalized. Because it's definitely a drug, right? So it's going to impact you like if you just like were to stop it like over the night. Like most of them, it sort of depends on which antidepressant you're taking, right? But the most common ones are I think they're called like tricyclic ones. I'm not entirely sure. But these are the ones like I took personally as well, and I did stop with them for like within 2 days, but it's not advised at all. And it was definitely something where I should have like maybe sued the doctor who told me to do that because it can be like so bad. Um, but yeah, like if you don't like it, you can always stop it. So I tried antidepressants to see if they help with my chronic headache. Because it's like a common side effect. Like if your headache is sort of like connected to anxiety, then like using antidepressants to like help with the headache can help. So that's why we tried the like antidepressants. And I sort of like I upped the dose to like 40 milligrams and I tried it, but it didn't really help. And I also didn't like how it sort of like made me feel. And yeah, then I just like went to my doctor and I was like, I don't like we tried it, it doesn't work for the intended purpose, and I also really don't like how they make me feel. So I want to stop it again, and then I was able to stop it again. So I feel like, since you can always stop, don't be too scared of it, but also be aware how they change you. Like try to actually pay attention to it because they will influence your mood. For me, for example, it was how much empathy I could feel for people around me and friends. Like when I was like on the highest dosage on the antidepressants, it was like 40 milligrams. I noticed how I just didn't really care about the people around me, and I like how I had to like fake empathy essentially because my brain was still like, okay, like it's like you need to like say something now, like you sort of like you need to be like empathetic in this moment. But I just like absolutely couldn't feel it, and that low key scared me because I felt like I'm a bad person or I'm becoming a bad person. And at the same time, I felt like nothing excites me anymore. Um, so to me, how I see antidepressants, with my experience personally, I think I would only use them when I would be like, like even if they would have helped with the headache, I'm not sure if I would have maintained taking them. And I think I would only use them if I would be like suicidal or something like this. Like if I would fear that with the next low, like there could be like actually bad things happening. Like I feel like then I would take antidepressants. Just sort of like how they worked for me, right? But they work for everybody, they work a little bit differently. So just see how they work for you, like how much they impact you and how much they impact your social life. And then just sort of like see the pros and cons of it. Like if they like help you enough to outweigh the cons. So I think it's always worth a try, you know? So for you, it would be interested to like sort of like find out what gender you're really aligned with, just for yourself. I hope mostly to feel relaxed and good in my own skin and not be judged every time I go outside. Hmm. I feel like relaxed and good in your own skin. If you see it with the combination of like not being judged every time you go outside. Um, I'm not entirely sure if like fitting in with a gender is going to give you that. Um, like I can't like entirely relate, right? Like I don't um like I don't think I'm like the norm woman or something, but I also like never thought about. Well, I did at some point actually think about like if I'm like maybe or like you know like a man or something, but I don't like care enough to go through anything, so I don't think I am. Like it's for a lot of trans people, they have an insane level of body dysmorphia. Like they sort of feel disgusted with their own body. Like they hate it a lot. So it's not something where they're sort of like, oh, thinking about it. Like, oh, maybe I'm more like this or more like that. And it's sort of like a back and forth. But it can be a very clear thing of like, I am disgusted with how my body functions as well. So for example, like I've read an article where they essentially said like that like a boy there who like felt like a woman felt like super disgusted with his like well her later on her at that point his her sexual organs. So just like yeah, like even like something like positive like getting an erection was like super super bad. Um and I feel like in those situations it's like really clear that like okay like your skin doesn't feel like your skin if that makes sense, and there's like a like it's a very like abnormal level of unhappiness if that makes sense. Like it's not this sort of like oh don't know, but it's very clear to them if that makes sense. But that was like the story I read in that article. Like I'm not entirely sure how big the spectrum is and how like what is the most common thing. But I think just like with every human, right? The spectrum is probably very broad and you can be anywhere on the spectrum. But I feel like if you make the assumption that like in one gender you will be less judged when you go outside, so less judged by society. I'm not sure if you will get this because it's more something which is based on your relationship to society, right? And gender has something to do in that regard, but men are judged in our society and women are judged in our society. And I don't, yeah. It's like, it's sometimes easier, like, if you like female things, I guess, to like then like completely align with all the expectations set on women, to like not stand out. But I don't think this is like a very promising way if sort of if the hope is just to not stand out and fit in. I feel like that's really part of like just becoming an adult, that you're becoming okay with not being liked by some people and that you are sort of focusing on your own life and what you want to achieve in life. And there's always going to be haters, there's always going to be people looking weird at you. And I feel like honestly just being fine with that is probably like working on like social anxiety in that regard would maybe be more helpful, I feel like. Mm. Like I can tell you for sure that like in I've had so many moments where I felt like being a woman sucks ass and I would have liked to just like leave my body at home because I felt like there's like so much judgment and also danger. Right. But I think sometimes we we hope that fitting in better is gonna fix that struggle, while the problem is only there because of a personal issue we have. So for example, when I was like feeling really low in my life, um, I essentially put everything and like held onto the idea that once I would move to the Netherlands, because I'm born in Germany, once I would move to the Netherlands and like be further away from my parents and everything like that, like all of my problems would be gone. And if I get like new start, I would do everything right. I would like let go of all these like old sort of negative things, whatever, and everything would be perfect. But well, it turned out like once I was in the Netherlands, it was a bit better because sure, I was like out of the toxic environment, but there were still things like I had to change actually, and I had to progress. So I took them with me because the the problems were not entirely about my surroundings, but also how I internalized my surroundings already, and how my expectation changed, and how my worldview worked essentially. So I put everything on like moving away, and then once I moved away, I noticed like fuck, like my depression is still there. Like I'm still scared to like I still have social anxiety, and I'm scared of being judged and like doing something wrong and stuff like this. And then I signed up for therapy, and it was the best decision I ever made. So I feel like maybe like I can't like look into you, right, Sabri Runner. So like definitely like your opinion is the best one here, right? But maybe ask yourself if you're using the problem of like which gender can I align to as sort of like a as a coping problem, because it seems like something which is more tangible, more controllable, and easier to fix. Because for example, like my depression, I didn't know where it was coming from. I didn't like I just didn't know how to handle my social anxiety and do anything against it. Like it was all like it's very like it's hard to sort of grasp and hard to know what like to do instead and like how to get out of it. So it was something where like I couldn't really do anything against it, and the more like the easier thing I could like see in front of me, sort of, and I could control, was the country I lived in. Even though that is already like a very, like not all people just like move out. Like this is already like a tough problem, but it was easier than actually like facing the truth that I need to do something against my social anxiety, and I need to face my social anxiety, and I need to change the life I'm living right now, because how I'm living it right now is leading me to depression, anxiety, like on an all-time high, and like so many other negative things. So I feel like that might be interesting. Your superpower would be staying out for 24 hours. All right. And welcome to the stream. Just like a coping extra long. And Anitalium, welcome, welcome. I have severe social anxiety, and I also have a fear of being lonely. And with it, depression came its way. I do love the thought of how antidepressants help me not feel, and when going grocery shopping or whatever, but as I said, I'm really against medication when not needed. I feel like I can understand this thought of like not wanting to essentially like rely on medications if you could do it yourself. But as long, as you're like still working on like your depressions and your social anxiety, medications can just be a very nice supplement to make it easier to make the changes you want to make, right? And form new experiences which help you move onto a different path. So, like, I don't know, like, do you, like, are you in therapy as well? Like, or do you only have the antidepressants? Welcome, Marsh After Dark. I haven't heard that greeting before. You're in therapy as well. Then, like, as long as you're like working towards like something there and like not just like entirely like relying on the medication and like plan to use it forever, um, I think you're good, Like, just try it. Like, be open to the option, Like, a lot of medications just work, and they're a part of like why we survive as good as we do nowadays, right? So, but you can definitely like talk to a therapist as well about like how you're scared about the medication and how like your fears around that, right? So I don't know. I mean, maybe you can get some more information actually where your fear is coming from, or like if it's just this resistance of like, oh, I don't like want to use medication when I could do it myself. Um, it is based on the assumption that you could just do it yourself, right? Like, I don't know, like depending on your suffering, you might need the medication to make it to make the problems approachable and like being able to like go about them right. Or maybe to just also like free up energy. Like when you say like for example like grocery shopping is like super exhausting. It's like hard to use your energy on like therapy if everything in your life is already exhausting you that much, right? And then it can also just be a way of like freeing up energy to use it in therapy. So I feel like, I don't know, like we don't need to do everything ourselves. And honestly, to achieve greatness, we probably are not doing it ourselves. Like most people who are like really good at something had like a lot of mentors and a lot of help. And so I feel like, nowadays there's so much we need to learn and so much we need to figure out. And with so much knowledge on the entire planet, and like problems are so complicated sometimes. And I think it's good to get over the resistance of not like, or getting over this resistance of like not wanting help, right? Hi, Pekkaming. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Judith. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. I guess I'll be on therapy and medication forever, but it's better than how I was before. Yeah. Well, we'll see. There's always hope. I mean, life is pretty long nowadays, usually. But I don't know, like having therapy and medication forever doesn't need to be a bad thing, right? Like we can always sort of like optimize how we shape our life, if that makes sense. Like around the medication, around the therapy. And we can integrate it better in our life. And therefore like usually like can achieve like nearly like all of the goals we had in mind. Or can form new goals which are just as enticing. It's that I want to do it myself for me and not, to not feel like a failure, to get a feeling of self-belief again. I mean, I see where you're coming from, Mr. Houston. But I think it's a feel of like being able to take help is still like you still have the responsibility, right? Like reaching out for help, organizing help, staying open for help, and all of that is still managing to survive, right? I don't know. For example, like back in the day, like cooperating like with another clan if there's like a shortage or something is still like it made you survive. Like you still like you were managing survival in that moment. I don't think it's a good goal to want to do like everything yourself. So this is essentially what I was like going at. Like if there's a resistance to take on help because it makes you feel inferior and worse, it might be good to tackle that resistance. And because in life, like the further we want to go, the more help we need. We only have 24 hours and it doesn't change if you have like more skill. You still only have 24 hours. It doesn't change if you have more determination. You still only have 24 hours a day. Like it's a thing where like the further we want to go, the more help we need. Right? So taking help, even if it can feel very shitty, and even if it takes like a lot of energy to get over the resistance, I think it's a very necessary step to actually be able to fulfill our potential and achieve all the goals we want in life. Right? What book? Yeah. Let's see if I can find this real quick. Okay. So this is a book I was reading recently. It's called Hold Me Tight. It's from Dr. Sue Johnson. It's essentially on like relationship psychology. I think it's a really good book. And in her like last, like literally like on the last like it's not the last page, but like afterwards it's like only the glossary and everything. So on the last page of like the normal book, I guess. She writes, the view of love and loving presented in this book fits with the thoughts of the Trappist monk and writer Thomas Merton, who believed that compassion had, in the end, to be based on a keen awareness of the interdependence of all living things, which are all part of one another and all involved in one another. It seems to me that if we, as a species, are to survive at all on this fragile blue and green planet, we have to learn to step past the illusion of separateness and grasp that we truly are mutually dependent. We learn this in our most intimate relationships. So, I don't know, like independence is always nice, like to be able to do it. If you need to do it, right? But we only survived until here because we as a society cooperated. And it's the best survival strategy. Like, cooperation is so, so important. And there's another article which is called, let me pull it up real quick. It's from Harvard, and it's called From Loneliness to Social Connection, Lessons from a Research and Global Pandemic. And so in 2010, Dr. Holt Lundstedt and colleagues reviewed 148 studies examining the protective effect of being socially connected and found that social connection increases odds of survival by 50%. There's like a lot of other studies in this article. It's a really great article. It has a lot of like really interesting numbers. But it's just one of those things where like this thought of like being independent, and like wanting to be independent and like needing to be independent is not an approach which is like the best overall, right? So it's an approach which we sort of came to for survival reasons. So usually this is based in childhood and how we sort of grew up in childhood, and that we maybe learned that we couldn't rely on anybody, that our caretakers neglected us and we couldn't rely on them to help us. And then we therefore learn that we can't rely on help and need to be independent, because only being able to do it independently means the safety of actually whatever you like want to do being done or like being able to be achieved. So independence is not the like being more independent. Independent doesn't mean being more successful, right? And we sometimes think that when we look to like successful people, like, oh, like self-made millionaire, like he did all of this and like through all of the hardships and like all alone. They are usually not alone. Usually they point out how many people they had who helped them along the way. And not only like just by being there, but also like financially, like investors and everything like that. Like usually the people who come the furthest are actually the people who are like cooperating the most. And I feel like they might not be the people with the most money. I do want to point that out. Because having the most money is not really like, it's not everything which makes out a great life, right? So if we see like money and like having social connections, having a good family, like all of this together, having good health, then it's really about cooperation. And so I feel like the point I'm trying to make is that if we're like able to take on help, and essentially are able to take on so much help that we make it ourselves the most likely to succeed or the easiest to succeed, then well, the chances are higher that we actually do succeed. So I feel like if it's in a normal range, right, where like we don't strive off of our ways, because sometimes we can like cope and then we're like essentially like going like off path and like only opting for the pleasure in the moment, right? But if we just like, if we have a goal in sight and we just use whatever resources we have to make it the easiest possible to achieve that goal, we're the most likely to achieve it. So I feel like if your goal is to have like really good mental health and to make like a lot of progress in therapy, it's very smart to take on that much help. And if at some point you think like, okay, I actually like, I feel like I could do more, you know? Like, I feel like I could push myself more, but in a healthy way, then you can always stop the medication. Like, you can always adjust the decision and like get new information and then decide different the entire time, right? Like, you don't have to like decide now for your entire life. Like, you decide now for the next couple months, and then you can like the entire time change. And you're like the goal you like, if you like achieve like the mental health you desire, or like whatever goals you have for your therapy, it's like it won't really matter if you got there with taking antidepressants or not, right? Like, would you be less happy with the mental health you desire just because you got there, because like using antidepressants for part of your treatment? What do you think, Mr. Uslan? Like, would you value the sort of like life you dreamed of less just because you used like antidepressants to get there? Hi, Rico Eyes. Welcome to the stream. How you doing? I've never watched the Lifetime channel, Rush After Dark. Is it like a podcast or? So what do we talk about here? Well, really like anything you want to. Well, sort of like adjacent to the mental health uh topic at least. Um, but yeah, we talked about like a lot of different things already, and that really depends on like what you want to talk about. Do you still live in the Netherlands? I do. I also like I plan on living here as well. I'm probably gonna live here for, yeah, I don't know if forever, but we're definitely committed to live here. But yeah, like dependence and independence is a really funny thing. How to manage stress from being incapable. All right. That's very specific. So, like, are you, I guess, like, because this is a very specific question, like, have you figured all, like, other questions around this topic out? Like, if your definition of, like, being incapable is, like balanced and fair and stuff like this, you know? I can give you my exact example. I would love to hear it. Welcome, welcome, Tipsy Tom. How you doing? What is that? I think medication for mental health is comparable with insulin. One has to take it to survive, but you might adjust it due to other factors. Yeah. It's like it can help in a lot of cases. In a lot of cases, it can't be the like it won't be the right approach, right? It always depends on your goal. So I think for a lot of goals, it's like really, really useful. But yeah, medication is only like like usually it's like only supportive. Like depending on like if it's like medication you just like essentially like have to use as like a um because like your body's not producing something and you just have to use it for your entire life. Like that's of course like the like then it's not just supportive, right? But like antidepressants or something like this, like are mostly given the treatment to support the regular treatment. Like it's not really. I gotta go. Like it's not really meant that you take it forever. Can you compare it to Germany? Mm, I really like the different city layout. Like I'm honestly a fan of like how they sort of like are planning their cities here. Um, there's a YouTube channel, and it like this is the YouTube channel which literally like was showing me the Netherlands, and then I came here. Um, mhm. It's this one here. Yes. Oh, so you knew nobody there? No. Like I didn't have a friend here or anything, and so we were looking like watching the YouTube channel, and then at some point we were like, okay, let's like make like a bit of vacation in like the Netherlands, and then we like saw it for ourselves, and it was like really nice, and also the people sort of like seemed happier. But I don't know, maybe that was just because it was like a really sunny day, and those are like really special in the Netherlands. Um, but it just made like a really good impression. And yeah, then we just moved here because like I always wanted to move somewhere else and like see a different culture. And it was like in COVID times, or like sort of at the end of COVID times. So it was just a thing where like I like initially I wanted to actually like make like study abroad in Tokyo. But well, because of COVID, that was like not possible. So next best thing, we moved to the Netherlands. So yeah. But I do think that they are like more open and like forgiving, happier, social, complain less. But that's also like very specifically to like um my experience like in Bavaria, in like the small town in Bavaria I was living before. So I've got to. First one, I'm working on a research project that I have no clue what I'm doing in, and I feel like I'm insufficient, and I feel like the people I'm working for expect me to actually be better than I really am. Oh, I see, I see. I mean, like, do you know what you like would have to like learn or do to be better? Like, is there a way how you can like achieve the level they're expecting from you? Or is it like so far off that you're just like I was like I don't know, like they just signed me up for something where I feel like I didn't, like I didn't apply for. Yeah, like it would also be interesting to see if it, yeah, like if it's more like imposter syndrome. Hmm. I feel like it would be. Hmm. I feel like I would talk to like the people you're working for with, like if you have like any sort of like boss or something who's like more into the topic, or like a, I don't know, like something like this. And I guess like, I don't know, I feel like it's really important to understand like how you ended up in this like situation, like sort of like whose fault it was, I guess. Um but I think I would just sort of like explain the situation and just be like, I am like, is it like, are you like happy with the work I do? Because like I feel like it's like so much and there's like so many things I don't know. And I'm like really unsure if I'm like cut out for the work here. Or like talking to coworkers if they think you do like good work. Like sort of like gauging the situation if it's imposter syndrome or if you're actually like incapable compared to the other people working on a project. So because yeah, like if it's part of the problem that I'm working on. Mm, I see. I mean, have the people you're working for expressed that they're like unhappy with your work or something? I mean, otherwise you can. No, they haven't. I feel like then I would like go up to them and maybe ask for feedback and be like, "Hey, I just wanted to check in if you're happy with like my work output and the work I'm doing, or like if I could do something better, or just like general feedback." I feel like they're just not doing any quality control. Hmm. I think I would ask for concrete feedback. It's something we sort of like it's a very good thing to offer your employees, because like also like nobody like really wants to be stuck, and like people want to progress, so they need feedback to actually do that, right? Um so I think like if you can just ask for concrete feedback and sort of ask us like, yeah, it's like everything, like, are you happy with the work I do? Is the quality of the work I do up to your expectations? Is there something I could do better? um to just get a better like read on the situation, I think. Does that seem like it would give you new information? Like I would at least like I would try that, because I think it's like I definitely understand how it's like a really weird situation when you don't have like somebody else to compare to. um I mean, the other thing I guess is like you could sort of look up related topics to this like online and like compare to like other people in the field. Or if you have like friends working in the same field.
安藤遅いぞ。すぐ行きます。里美の匂い。ダメだろ、今のなし。里美ごめん。はあ、遅刻の原因は里美ちゃんね。デートだったか。違いますよ。じゃ、お先。お疲れした。 じゃないんで。さとみ。やっぱりそうだ。卒業以来だな、さとみ。真田、まさか東京で偶然会うとは思わなかった。あいつもこっちの大学なんだった。何をふわふわ浮かれてるんだと、突然現実を叩きつけられた気分だ。もう着くよ。昨日はさすがにいろいろありすぎた。まともに安藤の顔を見れる自信がない。真田に会ったこともなんて言おう。通知見て未読する？驚かすなよ。ごめん。今朝は電車平気だった？まあ、くっそー。安藤の笑顔にほだされてしまう日が来るなんて。全然余裕。2限からだったし。それはよかった。明日の朝一は一緒に乗れるから。あれ？なんか遠い。いつもなら隣に座るのに。そうだ、これ。昨日の帰り。帰り？何？キスしちゃったこと？どれ？真田に会っちゃったこと？俺がうっかり持ったままでさ。それはもしや。すぐに連絡しようと思ったんだけど。俺の汗まみれのものが安藤の手に。ごめんなさい。ほら、すぐそうやって気にするだろ。だからちゃんと洗っといたぜ。ますますごめん。しかもちゃんとアイロンまでかけて汚れないようにハンカチにも包んで。安藤がしてくれたの？家の人？ハンカチは返す。俺だよ。一人暮らしだし。そうなんだ。安藤の家ってなんかすごく丁寧な暮らししてそうって思ってたけど、一人でそれは偉いな。丁寧って細けえってこと？もしやたまに持ってくる手作り弁当って。夜作った残りがあるときな。里美と同じで、俺もこの春からだけどな。通うにはちょっと遠くて、まあ家にいても弟たち構いすぎてうざがられてたからいい機会。贅沢。俺なんか安藤に気にかけてもらえて嬉しい。助かってるのに。またそういう。そっか。それならよかった。俺は医者でも専門家でもないから症状を治してやれるなんて思ってないけど、里美の気持ちが少しでも軽くなる手助けができてるなら俺も嬉しいよ。どうして、なんでそこまでしてくれるんだ？安藤にとって俺はどういう。それは。
安藤っちと里美くんだ。また二人でいんの？
困ってるやつ助けるのに理由なんていらないだろ。俺がそうしたいだけだし、リハビリならいつでも付き合うから他のみんなにも早くなれろよ。じゃ、もう行くわ。
安藤くんも3号館？あそこ遠いよね。里美くんまたね。滝口も。
行ってらー。
今の笑顔はごまかされた気がする。
俺さ、高校からあいつとつるんでるけど、俺滝口ね。安藤といると居心地いいよな。イケメンでノリいい上に
面倒見の良さ半端ないじゃん。圧倒的光属性。
そうだね。
だから勘違いもされやすいんだよな。特に女子とは距離感考えろって言ってるんだけど、あいつの人たらしっぷりは男でも中毒性高えからな。さとみも気をつけるよ。なんてな。じゃあ俺も次やるから。
何それ。安藤、もしかして俺の勘違いに気づいて、だから急によそよそしくなったのかな。それでも安藤は律儀に俺を構ってくれる。あ、
大丈夫か？
安藤にとっては理由なんてない自己満足の人助けって助けてもらってなんて言い草。最低だ俺。ありがとう。大丈夫だよ。安藤、カバンを胸に抱え直した。もしかしてこれカバンで隔てられてる。いつもの安藤の匂い、いつもの電車の癖で、絶対あれのせいだ。本当に。
だから謝んなって。好きでやってんだから。ああ、でもこういうのもう必要ない。安藤うぜえってなったらいつでも言えよ。
なんでそういう断りにくい言い方。でも言ったらやめるんだ。じゃあもう。
なったよ。久々に顔見れて嬉しかった。いいの？
急ぎじゃないから。
そう。
まもなく明大前、
だいぶ薄くなってきた。
井の頭線はお乗り換えです。
着いたよ。
不安で落ち着かない。人が多いのは未だに慣れないし、少し前なら汗だくになって完全に萎縮してしまっていた。だけど最近は。
安藤は？
売店行ってる。
おい、お前ら里見に構いすぎ。おめえが言うか。
大勢の中での緊張より安藤のことが気になってそれどころじゃない。
ほい、ついでに買ってきた。
ありがとう。
おお。
相変わらず気にはかけてくれるけど、また視線をそらされた。キュンを返せ。こうして徐々に距離を置かれる感覚知ってる。あいつもそうだった。真田、高校の時の俺の友達。
連絡先ありがとうな。同窓会幹事だから助かる。また連絡先変わるときは教えて。久々に顔見れて嬉しかった。今度会えないか？たびたびごめん。話したいことがあるんだ。会えないかな？謝りたいんだ。
親身になって話を聞いてくれた。そばにいてくれた彼のことを本当はもう悪くなんて思ってない。勝手に好きになって不快にさせた俺が悪いんだから。
これからプロジェクターで映像を出します。レジュメの23ページを見てください。こちらの目次に沿って
宮 里見？
ごめん、ぼんやりして。
この後は飯いいかね？ってみんなが。
行こう行こう。帰り揃うこと珍しいじゃん。もっとさとみくんと話したいな。さとみくん、何気に頭いいんだよ。さっきわかんないとこ教えてもらっちゃった。
なあ、次のレポート一緒にやんね。俺らとも遊ぼうぜ。
離れ。
ああ、悪い。俺やっぱダメだ。
え？
バイトのヘルプ行かねえと。里見はどうする？
じゃあ俺も今日は遠慮しようかな。ごめんね。くそー。また助けられた。また次の機会に誘ってもらえたら嬉しい。
そっか。残念だけど仕方ないね。じゃあね、また明日。
次は安藤なんかいなくても、俺らが面倒見てやっからな。滝口、覚えてろよ。
またいつめんじゃん。どこ行く？
ごめん、余計なことした。
大勢はまだ苦手だから助かった。早く安藤離れしなきゃ。でも慣れなきゃね。いつまでもこんなんじゃ。
里見、飯2人で行こうか。
バイトは？
本当は断ってもいいやつなんだ。だからこないだ行けなかった埋め合わせ。
安藤、そういうの本当タチ悪いよ。勘弁してほしい。そうやって誘ってまた帰り際にキスするの、俺が弱いから。他人の目を気にして生きづらそうで、男の友達にも振られてかわいそう。そんなことまで面倒見てくれなくて結構だよ。
里見、何言って。
安藤だって本当は困ってるくせに。勘違いして好きになってごめん。
里見、
ことがあろうとも今日も朝一のラッシュはやってくる。時間か車両をずらそうかとも悩んだけれど、
開くドアにご注意ください。
帰るならあっちが帰ればいいんだ。安藤から通知来てるけど全部未読スルーしてやったもんね。また出会いからずっと安藤には振り回されてばかりだと思ったら悲しいより怒りが。すっげえ怒ってる。ですよね。隣の扉から乗ろう。
あからさまに逃げられた。
ここまですればさすがに安藤だってもう。
ドアが閉まります。ご注意ください。
隣に移動したってドア越しじゃ丸見えだった。安藤の視線が痛い。でもこれでよかったんだ。心を乱されないように他人に頼らず関わらず距離を置いて、そうやって今までだって耐えてきたんだから、これからだって。
ごめんね、混んでて。
いや近すぎるだろう。
もう消えかかってるね、キスマーク。
まもなく千歳から。
今朝はいつも守ってくれるお友達とは離れちゃってどうしたのかな。あれって彼氏だろ。
安藤。
里見、汗すごいね。
嫌だ、こんなことされてるの安藤に知られたくない。
もしかして今トラブってる？いいね、
持ち悪い。全身がこわばって動けない。嫌だ。
助けが必要なら俺を見て。
駆け込み乗車はおやめください。
さとみ、
ドアが閉まります。
来い。
ご注意ください。
怖く。
少しは落ち着いたか？
ありがとう。
じゃあ脱いで。
何？
これはさとみにとって嫌な汗だろ。だから俺が拭いてやる。
安藤、何があったか聞かないの？
見えてたし、すげえ悔しい。肝心な時に守ってやれなくて。
それは俺が君から逃げたから。痛いよ、安藤。
あんな奴に触られてもこんなんなる。
違う。これは安藤が触ってるからだろう。こんなにそばにいてみっともない姿を見られても触られても安藤なら怖くない。
さとみ、
またした。
俺がキスするのはさとみが好きで可愛くて抑えられないからだよ。
嘘だ。待って。
嘘じゃないし待てない。我慢してたけどやっぱ無理。さとみに俺の手助けが必要なくなるまでは手を出しちゃいけないと思って少し距離を置いてみたりしたけど余計ダメ。
いや、これ恥ずかしい。
こないだもしたのに。
それもダメ。
もう後はつけないよ。それにほら、さとみに触ると俺もこうなるよ。
嘘。安藤も俺と同じ。
さとみも俺に触ってくれる。誤解されて嫌われたり俺の手の届かないところで辛い思いさせるくらいなら俺をさとみの恋人にして。
恋人？
そうだよ。
もう息そう。
恋人になってこれからも俺を頼ってくれるよね。後戻りできなくなるまで俺に依存させるから。
本当に俺自立できなくなったらどうしよう。いや、生きたい。
返事は？
はい。安藤が俺のことが好き。恋人？なんかもっとすごいこと言われたような気もするけど、ダメだ。 考が思いつかない。もう
行きそう。
行く。出る。
俺もいい？
待って。
さとみ。
こんな。こんなの聞いてない。ごめん。どうすんだよ。今から大学なのに。
タオル、着替えあるよな。
最低だ。
ごめんって。
誰だ。安藤のこと圧倒的光とかなんとか言ったやつ。
知らねえ。
帰る。どうせもう1限目間に合わないし、一旦戻ってちゃんと着替えてくる。こんなのバス以上に気になるし、匂いとか。
ですよね。俺もついて行っていいですか？何もしない。付き添いだけ。里美の嫌がることは俺だってしたくない。
本当？
でもここで放ってなんかいけない。心配、不安。俺のメンタルが持たない。辛い。
安藤が弱ってる。安藤、本当に俺のこと、仕方ないな。2限目までには戻るからね。
もちろん。
とは言ったものの、ついさっきまで好きだとか言ってあんなことしてきた相手を家にあげてシャワーまで。軽率だった。でも一人だけさっぱりするわけにも。いや、ここは安藤を信じて。タオルここ置いておくから。って早っ。
いや、軽く流しただけだし。
もう使ったタオルは洗濯機の中放り込んどいて。
はいはい。
なんで笑うの？からかってんの？前隠せよ。
いや、元気というか、里美の機嫌が治ってくれて嬉しいなって。
どこが？俺こんなに怒ってますけど。怒ってる？そんなわけないじゃん。勝手に安藤の気持ち決めつけて、言いたいことだけ言って無視を決め込んだ最低な俺を、あんな風に助けて抱きしめてくれた。
来い。
電車で痴漢された嫌な気持ち引きずらないで済んでいるのも安藤のおかげだ。
里美、ドライヤー借りていい？
あ、どうぞ。俺に？
今日は湿度高くて乾きにくいし、髪は根元からしっかり乾かさないと頭皮トラブルにも。
優しい手つき、気持ちいい。ほんと、君の構いたがりも相当だよね。
あ？
人をダメにする安藤だ。
なんだこの可愛いの。人聞きの悪い。
そうだ、後戻りできなくなるまで依存させるんだっけ？思い出した。すごいね。
すいませんでした。あれはつい漏れました。
本音ではあるんだ。
俺がこんな性分なのは家の環境とか生まれ持った性格だからとしか言いようがないんだけど、俺だって誰彼構わず世話焼いてるわけじゃない。これが俺なりのコミュニケーションの手段なんだろうな。純粋に人助けの時もあれば、この人の笑顔が見たいとか、仲良くなりたいとか、好かれたいとか、打算的な時ももちろんあって。
やっぱり安藤は眩しいな。俺なんて他人が怖くて逃げてばかりだ。誰の何の役にも立てやしない。
俺も怖いと思うことはあるよ。
え？
たまに俺みたいなのを利用しようとする奴もいたし。
安藤を？そんなつわものが。
いるいる。お人よしなんてよく言われるし、まあいいかって時は協力してあげるし、そのくらいはいいんだけど、里見にも指摘されたの、実は図星で。勘違いされやすいんだよね。
俺もその一人だ。男だけど。
俺のことが好きだって言ってくれても、問題が解決したり、俺が必要じゃなくなった時に、俺への気持ちは勘違いでした、なんてことが。
やっぱり勘違いだから気にしないで。ごめんね、変なこと言って。
まあ、何度かあって。
そっちのパターン。
そういうの地味に答えるっていうか、本気で好きな子にそれ言われたらマジでしんどい。
安藤、その子たちのことは知らないからあくまで可能性の話だけど、安藤に助けてもらって構ってもらえて恋してしまうような子は感謝が大きすぎて身の程に気づいて遠慮してそう言ってしまうかもしれないよ。
そんなこと
そうなの？
わからない。でも里見は言わないで。俺のこと好き、勘違いじゃない。
勘違いではない。
素直じゃない。じゃあキスしていい？
何もしないって言った。
わかった。俺は手を出さない。
え？
里見からして。
俺から？
だって俺からは何もできないし。
ずるい。これキスしたらどうなるの？
そうだな。もう何度かしてるのに。里見からのキスで晴れて恋人同士ってことでどう？
甘い。安藤のそばはふわふわと夢心地。きっと際限なく甘やかされて守られて、俺の生きにくさから解放してくれるかもしれない。
何？
遅れないようにアラームかけておいたんだ。もう行かなくちゃ。
そうか。そんな急に現実に戻らなくても。
安藤、俺このままじゃダメなんだ。
え？
ちゃんと君と向き合えるように過去の自分にけじめつけるから。だから待ってて。
里見。分かった。
現代社会においてはグローバルパートナーシップを醸成し、
里見のあんな表情初めて見た。っていうか俺遠回しに振られいや 待っててって言われたし。でもけじめってなんだ？
安藤、消しゴム貸して。
過去の自分とか言ってた。里見の過去って。
安藤？
高校の時にも親身に話を聞いてくれる友人がいたんだ。
まさか。
おい、どうした？安藤、この後さ、俺上がりなんだけど、昼飯どっか食いに。
あれ、また今度。
安藤が全然構ってくんない。俺らが付き合ってやんよ。おごれよ。
待たせてごめん。
いや、こっちこそ。突然大学にまで押しかけて悪かった。スルーも覚悟してたんだけど。
俺もちょうど連絡しようと思ってたところだったから。
そうか。来てくれてありがとな。そこ、座ろうか。こないだ偶然会えたのが、俺本当に嬉しくてさ。身勝手な話だけど、どうしてもまた話がしたくて。
真田、あの頃と変わらない優しい笑顔。俺のこともう平気なんだろうか。何度も連絡くれてたのにごめん。俺に勇気がなくて。
勇気か。その汗、今も変わってないんだな。
何やって。触らないで。
大丈夫だ。
汗が。
いいんだ、そんなの。あの頃だって本当は。里見！里見に触るな。
安藤？
大丈夫か？このメガネに何された？
君こそなんだ。そんなチャラそうななりで、里見とどういう関係だ？ああ？
ちょっと。
俺は里見の友人だ。
おお。俺は里見と同郷の親友だ。
いや、名乗れよ。
そういう君こそ。
修羅場。じゃあみんな見てる。恥ずかしい。何？どういう状況？
里見が苦しそうじゃないか。話せ。こんな真っ赤になって。あんたこそ話せよ。もげる。
いや、ほんと。何これ。痛いし。突然の修羅場。何これ。俺この後も授業あるんですけど。
ごめん。
一旦解散。場を設けて夜に仕切り直しとなりました。ああ、雰囲気のいいお店だね。
ああ、そいつのバイト先じゃなきゃな。
こちら本日のおすすめです。
なんでこんなことに。
話はさせてやる。ただし俺の目の届く範囲で。
おい、こいつ何様だ。
ごめん、真田。じゃあ。
分かったよ。また夜にな。はい、解散。皆さんもう終わりです。
そんなに心配しなくても大丈夫なのに。
泣いてたくせに。里見のことは信じてるけど、あいつのことは信用してねえから。
安藤の言い分もわかるからおとなしく聞いとこう。それに真田と二人きりは やっぱり気まずかったと思うし。
お待たせいたしました。渡りガニとエビの濃厚トマトソースとクラシックジェノベーゼです。
どうも。
こうして安藤の姿が見えるだけで安心する。
お飲み物は食後にお持ちします。
あ、はい。それはそうと、制服姿がかっこよすぎるんだが、欲しい。
里見なんかしたら即追い出す。
そんなに見とれちゃって付き合ってるのか？
え？
まあ優しそうではあるな、彼。
いや、安藤は男だし。
でも里見は高校の頃、俺のことを好きだったよな。
やっぱり気づいて。何言って。
俺の勘違いならいいんだ。変なこと言って悪い。
真田と一緒の大学。この評定じゃやっぱり無理かも。あれは昨年の夏。多感の発端は受験ストレスだったと思う。
大丈夫だって。まだ半年あるだろう。俺も勉強付き合うし、一緒に頑張ろう。
真夏といっても北海道。ちょっと進めば汗も引く冷夏に異常なほどの発汗。俺だけいつも汗だくで、いつも喉が渇いていた。
あいつの汗マジやばいよね。
まだやばい。汗かきってレベルじゃないし。
こないだテスト用紙回収したらさ、里見のだけすげえ湿ってんの。授業中は水しまっとけ。
心的ストレスで症状は一層悪くなる。
大丈夫、俺がついてる。
そんな俺をいつも心配して励ましてくれた優しい友人。真田は本当に特別な存在だった。今となってはそれが恋だったのか、ただすがっていただけなのか。どうだったかな。でもそう感じさせてしまってたなら、真田もそりゃ不快だったよな。ごめんな。
どうして里見が謝るんだ。俺に謝らせてくれよ。ずっと後悔してたんだ。大切な友達だったのに、人一倍繊細なお前をひどい態度で傷つけた。俺は逃げたんだ。ごめんな、里見。きっと受験にも影響したよな。
もう過ぎたことだよ。何よりもずっと囚われていた俺がこんな風に言える日が来るなんて。だから好きだったなんて未練がましいこと言わないよ。ここおいしいね。だって俺の好きはもう全部。
なんだか焼けるな。でもこれだけ言わせて。俺は里見のことを嫌いになったことも不快に思ったこともただの一度もない。
本当に？でもじゃあどうして？
それはまあガキだったんだよ。
どういうこと？
いいだろう、もうそれこそ過ぎた話だ。
気になる。
彼氏が飛んでくるぞ。あ、見つかった。したら俺もう行くわ。会計はしとくから里見はゆっくりしていきな。
真田、ありがとう。また会えて嬉しかった。
ああ、したっけな。
したっけ？俺はきっともう大丈夫だよ。
先にお会計お願いします。
いいよ。
君、
連れの分は俺が払うし、あんたの分はついでだ。連れが世話になったしな。 俺の連れが。
君も相当。じゃ、遠慮なく。いや、君くらい強引な方がちょうどいいのかもな。あいつって。
おいこら、古参マウントやめろ。
いいだろ、そのくらい。
里美がお前を許しても、あいつが苦しんでる姿を知ってる俺は納得してやらねえからな。
ああ、それでいい。君が里美のそばにいてくれてよかったと心底思うよ。
こら、他の男を思って泣いてんなら怒るぞ。
ちょっと感傷的になるくらいいいだろ。
あと30分くらいで上がれるから待っててくれる？家まで送らせて。
はい。鼓動がうるさい。家まで持つかな、俺の心臓。
混んでるな。大丈夫？
安藤こそ無理しないで。俺、安藤にならちょっとくらい押しつぶされても全然平気だよ。安藤の心臓の音もすごい。
またそういうことは。くそ、今日やっぱ蒸し暑いよな。俺すげえ汗だく。
本当だね。すごい。
触んなって。今なら里美の気持ちすげえよくわかるわ。汗は嫌だね。
俺も分かったかも。
何を？
好きな人の濡れた肌ってすごく興奮する。
おい、こんなの反則だろ。
待って、安藤。まだいつもね。
待てるわけないだろ。散々俺を散らして。煽って挙句あんな場所であんなキス。
ダメ。もう。
俺の恋人は感じやすくていやらしいな。
なんで俺だけ。
俺が押し倒されるの？
安藤ばっかりずるい。俺だって男だぞ。
だぞって。かわいい。
そんな語尾じゃない。安藤、君が好きだよ。
そのまま自分のも握って。そう、同時にしごける。俺にこすりつけてもいいよ。俺はこっちをいじってあげる。
今、ダメ。
俺の言いつけ通り、ちゃんとインナー着てて偉いね、里美。余計にエロいよ。
そんな。
ホテルに駆け込んで正解。里美の部屋じゃゴムもローションもなさそうだ。 するよ。
待って、汚いか。シャワーまだ。
終わったら一緒に入ろう。二人のエッチな汗流しちゃうなんてもったいない。ほら、もっとリラックスして。二人でぐちゃぐちゃに混じり合っちゃったら何にも気になんないよ。
そんなことばかり。本気なんだか冗談なんだか。安藤の軽口はいつも俺のコンプレックス度外してふわふわと夢心地にさせてくれる。
里美かわいい、大好き。何でもしてあげる、させて。
体までこんなグズグズにされたら俺。
心配しないで、俺に任せて。
もう戻れないよ。
幸せ。なん
かヌルヌルする。
里美からのキスなんて正直俺何ヶ月でも待つつもりだったから、まさかの不意打ち。嬉しかったな。これで晴れて恋人同士。
電車のあれは思わずつい雰囲気弾む。
俺もやだな。
なのに安藤、なんか変なスイッチ入っちゃうし。
いや、入るでしょあれは。そりゃもうバッチバチに。でもその後改めてしてくれただろ。あれもう一度聞きたいな。
安藤、君が好きだよ。
あれも弾みなわけ？
違う。あれはちゃんと覚悟を決めた告白です。
おう。覚悟ね。それってこれからいつでも。俺にこんなことされちゃっても構わないって覚悟？
いつでも。また
気持ちよくなっちゃう？いいよ、何度でも。
何？やだ、ダメ。
なんで？風呂でならローションでも汗でも。
ダメ。
何が溢れても気にすることないよ。ほら、足閉じてて。ぬるぬるで里見も気持ちいいだろ。
いや、待って、入れないの？
里見からそんなこと言うなんて。
だってさっきはいっぱいいっぱいでよくわからないうちに終わってたけど、俺が言った後、安藤、俺の中じゃなくて今みたいに股に挟んでしてたよね。
ああ。もう少しだけ頑張って。
俺こういうの初めてだし、 負担かけないように気を使ってくれてるのかもだけど、やっぱり男同士だし、入れるのは抵抗あったのかなとか。
さとみあるわけないでしょ、抵抗なんか。
じゃああんまり良くなかったんだ。
さとみ分かった、包み隠さず言うよ。ここさとみのここ自分でいじったことはある。
あるわけない。
だからまだここまでが限界かな。
そこダメ。
ここが好き？言っていいよ。
いや、また俺だけ。
さとみ
いつもしてもらうばかりで、俺だって安藤に何かしてあげたいけど、こういうのよくわかんなくて。
さともうピュアかよ。これでもせっかく自制してたのに。ゆっくり進めるつもりだったけど、もう知らないよ、本当にいいの。説教って俺のを全部入れたらきっとここまで届くよ。
そんな嘘。
覚悟しててね。浅いところとさとみの好きな交互にこすって
ダメ。
さとみも知らない奥深くまで突き上げて、
もうやばい。
激しく何度も揺さぶるよ。あれ？想像だけで言っちゃった？
わざとだろう。
くっそ、そんなにいやらしくて心配だな。
前こすんだ。
これからは俺がゆっくりじっくりさとみの心も体もほぐしていくからね。
安藤って基本優しいのに、エッチになると意地悪だよね。むっつり意地悪。そして愛が重い。
言わないで。自分でも分かってるから。ごめん。
そういう安藤が全部好きだよ。はい、言った。7月、東京で迎える初めての夏。
あっち
むす本当に梅雨明けたの？
生きてるか、さとみ。
サウナもジム汁版スパもいらないね。
あんな気持ちのいいものじゃないよね。
麗華の地元とは違い、ここでは俺以上にみんな当たり前に汗だくだ。
ほら、みんな同じなら怖くないだろ。
うん。この夏が過ぎてもきっと大丈夫。季節が変わっても君がそばにいてくれるから。
俺は二人きりでかく汗がいいけどな。
嘘でやれ。
安藤、今日は俺に任せて脱がすよ。
里見、待って、ダメだ。
ダメじゃない。ちゃんと汗拭いて着替えなきゃ。おとなしくして。
自分でできる。
俺が隅々まで拭いてあげるから。今日、安藤が風邪で大学を休んだ。恋人として当然大学の帰りに様子を伺いに来たわけだけど、
里見に移ったら困る。離れて。
このありさまだ。俺に過保護すぎ。マスク苦しくない？
大丈夫。
だいたいその風だって原因は昨日の電車でしょ。俺をガードして後ろの人の席もろかぶっちゃったもんな。だったら俺にも責任が。
あれとは関係ない。気にするな。昼間寝てたらだいぶ良くなったし。
でもこんな時くらい力にならせてよ。俺なんかいつも安藤に助けてもらってばかりだよ。ね。
里見。分かった。じゃあお願いするよ。
任せて。
こういう時の里見は頑固なんだよな。
蒸しタオルレンチンしてきた。
張り切ってて可愛いし。
体を起こせる？
やっぱり汗で脱ぎにくい。
手伝うよ。安藤がいつも俺にしてくれるみたいに。はい、万歳。
里見。
じゃあ背中から。タオル熱くない？力加減は？
ちょうどいいよ。ありがとう里見。気持ちいい。
待って、何これ。こんな弱々しくておとなしく甘えてくる安藤、レアでは。いつも俺ばかり翻弄されて余裕なくて自分のことだけで精一杯だったけど、なんとかしてあげたくなる。これが肥後欲ってやつ。上向いて。しかも熱のせいか、ほてった体とか汗でしっとり濡れた肌とか、なんだかすごく。何言ってんだ。病人だぞ。これは看病。はい、拭いた。冷えちゃうから早くシャツ着て。
ほんとこれ、いつもと立場逆転だな。
こんな風に安藤も俺の世話しながら。
里見。
俺のこと愛おしく思ってくれてたのかな。大好きだよ安藤。今日はしてほしいこと何でも言ってね。
里見にそんなこと言ってもらえるなんて、風もらってラッキーだったな。
やっぱ昨日の電車なんじゃん。 あ、何して。
里美が悪い。
え？
映したくないからなるべく離れていたかったのに、里美の方からくっついてくるからもう我慢できないじゃん。
こら、もむな。
しかも何でもしてくれるんだろう。
あ、看病って意味。
これで癒して。
ダメ。俺だって汗かいてて。寝た？がっかりなんてしてないぞ。
夜中の3時か。
俺としたことが。
愛しい人に看病してもらったというのに、中途半端に手を出しておきながら満足もさせず寝落ちなんて。呆れられた、怒られ、嫌われた。自称でキラキラ世話好きからきのアイデンティティを崩壊させるか。
安藤？
里美、ごめん、音で起こしちゃった。
それよりもう風邪大丈夫？シャワー一人で平気？よかったらシャワー手伝おうか。
里美のボーナスタイムが続いてた。結婚してください。
濡れたまま抱きつくな。床が濡れ。
いいから、ほらこっち。
もうべしょべしょ。
Or something. I feel like I asked them if they were satisfied with my work before, but they were just like, okay. I mean, asking for concrete feedback is something different though, right? Like, you could also just be like, hey, like, I would like to know how I could, like, get better and, like, yeah, get better at the work I do or do better work for you. What is, like, really important to you or not. Sort of, you know. Crashes for sealing into chat. Welcome, Graysu. How are you doing? To, I guess, like, make the point clear that you want concrete feedback. And if it then turns out, like, they're, like, fine, then it honestly comes down to yourself, right? Like, what are the expectations you set for yourself? And, like, are these expectations balanced or not? So then it could be a thing of, like, reading up online if those expectations are balanced or not. Or, like trying to talk to other people who like working in the field. So maybe, for example, on LinkedIn or whatever, you know? And, like, trying to find out if your expectations for yourself are balanced. And I feel like if your expectations are too high, the easiest thing to settle for usually is that you're progressing to get better. But it's, like, fine to not be like a perfect student or whatever, like, right now. But just put yourself, like, a normal amount of workload and be like, hey, I'm progressing, like, I'm gonna get there at some point. Like, they don't expect me to be there right now. So I'm sort of like a trainee. up to these expectations, so I don't need to fulfill them right now. But my goal is that, like, instead of fulfilling them right now, my goal is to at some point be able to fulfill them, and sort of like continuously work towards that goal. Yeah. The only thing I feel like I would sort of like try to watch out for, like when asking them for like concrete feedback, would be that, because I don't personally know you, right? So I don't know if you're like likely to, like, if you're one of those people who like always essentially like destroying their own future or like bad mouthing themselves. So I don't know, like if you feel like you have a history of like bad mouthing yourself and like expecting too much of yourself, but the other people would be happy with you, and then you would essentially question them until the point where they would be unhappy with you, then I would be super careful with your phrasing when you ask them for concrete feedback, and would make sure that I wouldn't phrase it in a negative way. Like I wouldn't make like leading questions where it's essentially like say no to me, like say you're not happy. But where it's literally like just finding out their opinion, but not trying to, you know, like show that you are like really unhappy yourself with the work. Yeah. I mean, if you have something specific, you could, for example, be like, "Hey, I would really like feedback on like the work I've been doing like last week, concrete feedback, because there's like different possibilities how you could like resolve this or whatever, and I just want to know the work is progressing in your desired direction, and you don't like later, you know, like find out that you like would have liked another way more or something like this, you know." I feel like I guess I would go in that direction. Of like sort of like prompting them to like take a closer look at it and like really like check up on it now. But at the same time, like not check up on it with the expectation like it's gonna be shit. Because if you like it's gonna bias them. Like if you essentially like tell a person like I think my work is shit, and like can you check on it? Like they're biased in a negative way towards your work. So but I think getting concrete feedback on like what you're doing and if it's what they expect of you, is, you know, like you can also say like, hey, like this like a very unique project to me, and I haven't done like many projects like this before, so I just want to check if this is like really what you're looking for, and that the way I'm doing it is like coherent with your expectations. Yeah, in that direction. At the same time, if they don't properly check up on you, and then only later are like, what have you been doing this whole time? It's their mistake, right? Like, they should have checked up. Yeah. Okay. I'm interested to hear back how that's going, what sort of feedback you get back, if it's more gonna like after this progress into the direction that your own expectations are just way too high, and everybody else is actually happy with your work, or that they actually just didn't check and should have. But then you're gonna get clarity and can probably. Oh, you have a second example? Yeah, for sure. Go for it. Welcome to the chat. How are you doing? Hi, Kubabara. How you doing? Welcome, welcome. Hi, Gord. Welcome, welcome. How you doing? You doing okay? I'm glad to hear. Um, I'm doing like I'm doing good, but like the weekend was actually a bit much. So I'm looking forward to like resting today evening. Like it was very nice. Like the weekend was like very nice. We were going out to eat with friends and everything. But it was just yeah, it was just a little bit much, I think. Hey, Kawhi, so many questions. Very specific. I moved there with my partner, yeah. Any tips for dealing with stress-induced doom scrolling? I feel like stress-induced doom scrolling always like easily happens when we don't really want to acknowledge that we're stressed, right? Because doom scrolling is not technically like the best thing we can do for ourselves if we're stressed, right? But if we sort of like try to not say that we're stressed and have these like, then we way easier slip into these coping mechanisms because we're trying to be like trying to like ignore that like state of ourselves, but then like still look for relief, right? So then it's like way easier to fall into any coping mechanisms. So I feel like it's important to like find out like why you're stressed, if you can do anything against that stress, like if you can reduce it somehow. And just try to like be aware when you're stressed. Like try to check in with yourself if you're stressed. And then like once you notice you're stressed, then like for example, do like diaphragmatic breathing, like the exercise, or do yoga, or stressed, like stretch. Like do something which is like gonna help you reduce the stress. It can also be like take a walk in nature, it can be cuddle your pet, it can be like talking to a friend, like whatever sort of is like stress relieving to you. But like try not to ignore stress, but actually acknowledge that you're stressed and like help yourself cope in a healthy way actively before you then like slip into unhealthy coping mechanisms, you know? I feel like that would be the way I would go about it. And if it's like specifically doom scrolling you want to cut out, you can also like set like screen timers for like your social media apps and stuff like that. Like they can be like really great because like in the beginning you're probably not gonna be like really good at like noticing that you're stressed beforehand, so you might still slip into doom scrolling. So then when you have the screen timers, you could essentially like take the screen timer as a reminder to check in with yourself and be like whenever like this, like for me I have like a 10-minute screen timer for like Instagram, for example, and like you can then like when a screen timer comes, you can be like, oh right, like am I stressed right now actually, like am I trying to like cope from stress? And if you then notice like yes you're stressed, then like think about like what would help you to like de-stress in this moment actually, because it's probably not going to be doom scrolling. And then yeah, see if you find any like strategy which helps you. Like see if you find something which works best for you. Like usually some people have like their favorite like stress, like de-stressing techniques, and it can be like different for everybody. Like diaphragmatic breathing can be really nice, meditation can be really nice, yoga, walking outside in nature. It can also like some people just do like a 20-minute nap. It also depends on like what type of stress it is, right? So it might be different depending on where the stress is coming from day to day. Yeah. Isn't it Monday today? Yeah, it is. Gonna take the day off today? Easy, nice. how tall I am. I'm 170. Like this could be like a Wikipedia article, which is like really detailed about me at some point. You're going to have an internship coming up at the start of next month. Again, I have no clue why they hired me. My skills for the role are really poor. I think I just talked my way through the interviews pretty well and confidently. They just had a good perspective on me. So stressing about having to deal with that. Okay, Untitled, has this been a pattern for you? That you feel incapable and like stress about it? Like, is this like a very reoccurring thing? You're in part 2 of the book now? Let's go, Faker Ming. Sweet, Vianney. I think that's really cool. Why would I have my age here? Yes, we're having the mental health talk. It's like 5.5, 5.6. What do you mean? You actually don't really need to install like a screen timer app or something. Most mobile phones nowadays actually have a setting. Just putting that out there. Where you can like set screen timers for the specific apps. In Instagram itself, you can set a screen timer. In TikTok, you can set a screen timer like within the app. Yeah. I don't know why you would have your age exposed like that. Well, I don't, so yeah. I wouldn't know either. It does reoccur, but I usually have exact arguments for when and why I'm incapable. I see. So the thing is, if our worldview is in a specific way, it's not like our logic doesn't adjust to it, right? So for example, like people who have like body dysmorphia, like who hate their bodies, they have arguments, right? And like people who think like nobody likes them, they have arguments. And they're gonna find certain like evidence. But it's all from the because reality is like subjective, right? Because it depends on like reality is like so subjective on like so many different levels. But the way we perceive is actually so influenced by what we expect to perceive. So if you have a worldview within yourself where you expect that you're incapable, because it's one of your like essentially like core beliefs that you're incapable, you will interpret everything through the lens of being incapable, right? So if it's a reoccurring theme, this is why usually with like everything, like if it's a reoccurring pattern in your lives, it probably has to do with you, not with the outside world. Like, so if this is a reoccurring pattern, I like for sure like still ask for feedback and stuff like this. Like, you know, it's always good to have more information. But I would actually suspect that it like the chance could be like very high, actually. That it's just because you interpret everything which is occurring around you through this lens of being incapable. And essentially like looking for evidence of like when you're incapable. But you're not looking like, because you're biased to like for which evidence you look, you find a overwhelming amount of evidence which will tell you that you're incapable. And essentially like like what is the word? Sometimes it's really not. English isn't my first language. No, it's gone. I don't know. Anyways, it's gonna. How do I say this? What the fuck? Oh. It's gonna be coherent with the worldview you have. Like it's gonna make it more likely, and it's gonna behave like, oh, you have more evidence, so it's like more prominent. So it's actually like this sort of worldview that you're incapable. It's gonna get worse and worse and worse. Just because you find like so much evidence, right? Because you only look for that evidence. Like there might be double as much evidence that you're actually not incapable, right? But you don't look for that evidence. So the result you will get is that you're incapable. So sort of like having that in mind, it might be really interesting to ask yourself where that started. Like, how did that start? Like, I don't know, like, did you have, for example, like parents who always assumed you were incapable? Or like, did you have friends who assumed you were incapable? Or like teachers? Or like, you know, like, when did it start? That this like thought that you're incapable and this like pattern? Because it might be that you essentially just learned that you had like 1 or 2 experience or something, or like a really, really important experience to you, where you felt incapable and where you felt like scared or like, you know, like had anxiety because of this, or like something bad happened because of this. And your solution to this was, well, if I'm never incapable again, I won't end up in that situation. So now you're always trying to like survive essentially by like finding ways to like fixing like any incapability of yourself to not be at risk for anything happening to you. You gotta touch grass. Amazing, Kumabara. No, I'm not 37. I'm 26. No. Started in school and I kept underperforming probably. So what happened when you underperformed in school? What was the consequences of you underperforming? I got bad grades even though I wanted good ones. And then I saw other people easily getting good ones. What else happened? Was there like a reaction from your parents? A reaction from your friends? Mm. How did you feel about yourself when you got bad grades? Do you know the exact narrative? Because I felt bad is a very broad statement, right? Like it can mean a lot of different things for a lot of different people. Like sometimes we, for example, have this thing of like that we feel like we're wasting our potential, or that we're like a disgrace to our parents because they put so much effort into us, or that we should be doing much better because we're like smarter than everybody else, and if like the dumb people get like good grades, then like we should for sure. Like there can be like a lot of different sort of explanations or assumptions people then make about themselves. Hi, Annie. What is my skincare routine? That is so off topic. I don't. Well, sure. Okay, skincare routine. I'm using this one for like in the morning. It's from 𝔹𝕃ℂ𝔻. It's like a facial moisturizing lotion, and it has like SPF 50. And then from them, they also have like a normal lotion, like without SPF. I use that one for the night. Before that, I use like I think I use this one, which is from The Ordinary, like a retinoid, like droplets, emulsion, whatever. So I use like in the evening, I just like, get everything off. I use the 𝔹𝕃ℂ, what is it called? Like hydrating cleanser. And then I put the retinoid oil on, and then I use the like moisturizing cream. And that's it. Yes. It's more like I wanted to be cool and have the ability to just be a capable person. I couldn't meet my expectations. I saw how others were doing better, so I just felt insufficient in everything they achieved with less effort. Okay. So I see an element of like unfairness there, which is essentially like they're not even learning as much, but getting better grades than I do, and that's unfair. Like they like easily get better grades. And with this, I want it to be cool. I feel like that's actually also a social component though. Like it sounds to me like this narrative of like, I want to get recognition for being good. Like I want to be recognized as a capable person. So hmm. Hmm. In that moment where you sort of like say like other people got like like better grades with less effort? Is it did it feel a little bit like being betrayed by yourself? Of like, why am I not getting these grades with that amount of effort? Like, why do I need to sort of like learn more? Like, why is my body like not normal and gets these like good grades like everybody else does? Yeah. So, how do you trust yourself? How did it work back in school? Like, were you able to work your way out of getting bad grades? Like, were you able through effort to get good grades? Or did that not work? Not really. Maybe math. You got real cocky when my math grades were up. How do you mean cocky in that moment? Like towards others? Like sort of like boasting about it and stuff like this? Or more like, okay, now I don't need to learn anymore? How did it influence the learning effort when your math grades went up? But people just came up to me with math problems and was like, "This is easy. What are you talking about?" Did it feel like people coming up to you with problems felt like something you've been looking for? Okay. So at that point, you didn't feel incapable in maths anymore, right? Did this like story in math motivate you to learn more in other subjects? How do you mean you just got lucky with math? Like, did at some point like did you just get bad grades again when like the teacher changed or something? Did you already back then, when you got better in math, feel like it's actually not because of your effort, but just like randomly? Hi, Fuzzy Peaches. That's a loaded first message. Is there like something we can help you with or you want to talk about? Because this is more like a, you know, like just a statement. Like, I did struggle a lot, stupid mistakes before, and then they just suddenly disappeared. It was definitely effort, but I do consider that I got lucky. Hmm. Hmm. Nah, she's a loser. Okay. Well, this stream is not really about just like, you know, like insulting other people or express hate, right? Like, the stream is about like mental health support. So if there's anything you want to talk about or anything we can help you with, we're definitely here, right? I'm just not sure if there's anything you actually do want to talk about. Because what you're saying is just a statement, right? So, like, you do you. Like, there's, you know, I'm not gonna try to convince you of something different if you don't feel like you want to change or need to change or doing anything wrong, right? Because I think that's not really worth the effort, right? So, but just for the like sake of like keeping this community like cozy and safe, and that everybody feels good to be vulnerable, I do appreciate if we don't just insult people or like, I don't know, like if there's any point to this story, like that you're struggling with these emotions and that you want help with these emotions, then there's something we can do for you, right? But if there's nothing you want to, you know, do about it, then there's nothing we can do. So, don't you think that's a terrible situation? The son that hates his mom. I mean, I agree that it's definitely not optimal to have such a like strong negative emotion towards your mother. I don't think it's common. I think it's common that we don't only have positive emotions to our mom. I think it's common that the relationship to our parents is not like in a Christmas movie. But I don't think it's common that we despise our parents this much. But it doesn't need to be common to be valid or understandable, right? So, I don't know, like you could have a good reason. You could not have a good reason. Not something we know. I also, like, I moved out with like 18, and it was really nice to get some distance. But when do you think you will be able to move out? How long is it still going to take? Hmm. Is it exhausting to have these big emotions towards your mom? because it can be quite exhausting to hate somebody. Have you tried working on their situation? Like talking to her and setting boundaries, trying to find a way how you can coexist with each other? Is too low IQ to have respect for person. I don't think respecting personal space takes IQ. I don't think that's a... Takes EQ now? No? Depends, really. Like, having respect for personal space can come from a lot of different reasons, right? So... she's just disrespectful in general. Did you try to explain to her that you need your personal space and that she shouldn't open your door just like this? Or should knock beforehand? Hmm. Do you think she means it in the moment where she says, okay, sorry, I won't do it again last time? Like, does she look to you like she means it? Hmm. Does she look to you like she means it in a moment where she says, okay, sorry, I won't do it again last time? Or does it look like she's actually dismissing your opinion in that moment? Because there's a difference between taking accountability and genuinely saying sorry and actually just saying sorry to brush somebody off, essentially. Mm. It's very understandable that your lack for personal space is frustrating to you. Mm. Have you expressed your big emotional reaction to that to her? I think it's not. Let's step away from just calling her stupid and looking for reasons why she's stupid. I don't think this is helping. I mean, it's not like just because she does it because she's stupid, that's hurtful to you, apparently. I think it's actually like a emotionally easier explanation, right? Because if she would be stupid, then she wouldn't maybe have the capacity to dismiss your emotions, ignore your boundaries and overstep them purposefully again and again. I think it's actually more hurtful to think that a person does that while understanding that this is a boundary they are overstepping. Right. I mean, alcohol is in the moment easier, right? Progressing towards your goals is harder when you have an alcohol problem. In the end, I believe people are who they are, so she can say what she says. She still does what she does. That's why people shift apart. So, yeah, Eric, my credentials quickly are I'm actually like sort of working towards a list of like books I've read and stuff like this. I did do like a certificate in like counseling and stress management, and been reading like a lot of mental health books or psychology books. I'm not a studied psychologist or a doctor or something like this. This is peer support, and yeah, we're just trying to be there for each other here. Eight percent of my age male friends hate their mom. They don't talk to them anymore after college. Have you expressed to your mom then that it's gonna be like that with her if she doesn't stop? I think you should let her know. I think for some, like, some people are so used to overstepping boundaries and people not really like pulling consequences, that they essentially feel safe that there's not going to be consequences. So I feel like it's actually really important to tell her the consequences which it will have. You know? I mean, that's just hate, right? But it's not really yeah, it's a shitty situation, what should I say? Like, having parents who don't respect your needs is so draining, and they really should. I do think it's important to know that, like, not the entire society is like this, right? So I wouldn't really, like, see this as an example of like entire society. So, for example, like a boundary overstepping is something which is entirely common, like happens all the time, because everybody has different boundaries and people don't know, right? So at some point you need to like explain to them that this is a boundary and like please don't overstep it, and if you do overstep it, like this is sort of like what's going to happen. So I feel like it's really important because with boundaries, it's also a thing where like we're always sort of looking for compromises in relationships, right? Like there's stuff which is like a super like unimportant boundary. And there's stuff which is like a really, really hard boundary of like, if you overstep this, I will cut you off and not longer have contact with you. And sometimes we lack in the communication skill to make a person understand what type of boundaries we're talking about and how important it is that this is not being overstepped again. So, for example, to your mom, it might seem like a really unimportant boundary that she doesn't open your door or that she doesn't touch your stuff. But for you, it's a really, really hard boundary. The thing is, when we don't find a way to talk about these things, right, things get more and more extreme. Because the more often an unimportant boundary is being overstepped without like proper sort of like acknowledgement and accountability to it, the more important it's gonna become over the time, right? So this is a thing where like I feel like you should talk to your mom and explain to her how important the boundary it is she's overstepping, you know? Fuzzy Peaches, this is your second warning for this stream to refrain from just pointless hate. Like this is not gonna be a safe space, right? If we continue. It's very fair to be like super frustrated by this. I mean, she is overstepping your boundaries over and over again, and apparently there's no progress and no change, you know? But I think that's why you need to explain to her how big the boundary is she's overstepping and how important it is to you that she is not, and what the consequences will be if she will again. Right? And if you did this, like if you told her very, very clearly what the consequences will be, how important it is to not overstep the boundary again, and it happens again, then you can find a different solution. Like then you tried everything you could, you explained to her completely clearly, you told her what you need from her, and then you can like, I don't know, like look for an apartment with some friends maybe. Or yeah, count the days until you can move out. I mean, seeing you so angry right now doesn't seem like that's a really a completely functioning way, right? I mean, you know, in life, there's a lot of things we can't change. There's a lot of things we can, but there's also a lot of things we can't. And if we find such a thing, well, we tried everything, but we find out we can't change it. For example, maybe with the stuff with your mom, like if you tried everything and you tried explaining her the boundaries, well, I would definitely try this as clear as I can. But if you tried all of that and then you find out it's like a thing which you can't change, and you just, you know, need to get over that time span. I feel like once you accept, it's just going to be for like a certain amount of time, and then you're going to get out of there. Like maybe then you can like let go of the anger. I don't get why it's so hard to respect. And these are exactly the things why I would talk to her if I were you. I can't study when it's not perfect. That's actually a good learning opportunity though. Because we will need to study when it's not perfect. Like, this is actually this right. I have something perfect.
Don't believe.
So I was like listening to this audiobook, and I'm like not entirely like through it or anything. But in this audiobook, the author talks about a monk always just struggling to meditate. And he's always so angry about if anything like is stopping his meditation. And if somebody's like breathing too loud, like somebody's like coming in, opening doors, taking something away, and he just doesn't understand like how can they not respect him trying to meditate? Like, do they not see his like he's meditating and stuff like that? And he's going into this example like quite detailed, because this is the thing, like there's going to be moments in our life where we can't change our surroundings, but what we can change is ourselves and our thinking. This is also how like therapy is sort of like what therapy is based upon. Like therapy is not something where you go to therapy and then like the therapist is going to change your environment, right? But the therapist is going to change you and going to help you to change. And a part of like how successful we are and how happy we will be in life is how we can adapt to things, and how we can, for example, like redefine goals. Because sometimes we won't get the thing we really like in life. Sometimes things come and just take away some dream we have and make it impossible. And then the thing we have to do to find pleasure in life again is to find another dream which we're excited for and grieve for the dream we had to leave behind. And we need to adapt to the situations around us and always find the sort of best fitting compromise we can. And changing yourself doesn't, for example, need to mean that you like entirely respect her and like don't learn and don't try to work out your way out of where you are, you know. It might maybe just be that you find a way how to learn while somebody is like opening up the room, and then you try to like in that moment just like give her what she wants and then return to learning, because that might actually be faster and more efficient than raging and being so caught up in hate that you can't learn anymore for the next like half hour, and you need like ages to like emotionally stabilize yourself again, right?